What is up, people? The internet, it is me, Real American Politics, back in with a new video, and today, it is time that we discuss how good would a Trump second term really be? Now, this is an argument that a lot of people have been having about, okay, if Trump does, I should say, when he wins a second term in 2024, barring some unforeseen consequences or something crazy like that, what would a Trump second term actually look like? Would it be great? Would it be better than the first one? Would it be worse? Etc. So today, I'm going to just, talk about how I would think a Trump second term would go. And Axios actually put out an article today about, Trump actually has some plans for a second term, and behind the scenes, they've been planning some stuff for a Trump second term. Essentially, even Axios is starting to admit, yeah, Trump is probably going to win 2024 easily. It just looking like that at this point. So they're writing articles about, the radical plan for Trump's second term. Pretty much admitting, yeah, there's a high chance he will be back in 2024. Now, before I forget, of course, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes. Of course, before I forget, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And, also join the channel. Just for 10 cents a day, you could join the channel and get a good feeling in your heart. But if you really want to give me a couple extra dollars, well, I should say give the channel a couple extra dollars a month, for $5 a month, alright? You can join the channel, get a good feeling in your heart, and get a shout out at the end of each video. I think that's a good deal, and if you want to support the channel, I recommend you do it. Alright, folks, let's get into this article and discuss how would a Trump second term really look, and how would I think it would go. Now, Axios is mostly focused on an executive order that Trump's, did right before the 2020 election. It's called Schedule F. And essentially what this does is, well, it gives Trump, or I should say the president, power over around, I think, 50,000 federal jobs. If you don't know, the government of the United States of America has millions upon millions of people as government workers. And this executive order essentially, at most, would affect 50,000 federal workers. But still, that's a huge amount considering, that's probably the most he can realistically do in just one executive order. But essentially, these 50,000 workers, he can fire, that's essentially what the order would do, and he could pick whoever he wants to replace those people. And those people can't do shit about it. So, this is something I think Trump, in his second term, needs to focus on the most. Draining the swamp. Look, immigration aside, this is the number one issue. If we want to take back this country, it starts by getting rid of some of these federal workers. Look, some of these people have been here for decades, and they've done nothing good for this country. Instead of, getting fired like most other jobs, they get promoted because they're deep in the swamp. And this is an order that I think Trump should heavily focus on. Not just federal workers. Focus on the Department of Justice. Focus on the FBI. Fire some of these generals. Look, when you really look at it, every single part of the government is extremely corrupt. But this order mostly focuses just on the federal workers. But he's, obviously, in my opinion, can go after the FBI, the Justice Department, etc. And when you read into this a little bit more, there's something good about it. So if you don't know, the Department of Justice obviously was a big hindrance to Trump during his first term. Well, it appears somebody's actually doing something about it. Stephen Miller. You go down here. I gotta find it somewhere. But essentially, Stephen Miller, one of the best people Trump had in his entire administration. I wish he, did more than he did. I mean, what did he really do? But the point is, Stephen Miller, right, obviously launched America First Legal, right? And this has been essentially the alternative to the left's, legal infrastructure. It has done a good job. It's been suing the shit out of Biden, pushing forward actual lawsuits that can win in court. They've won a couple big cases, but also he's been focusing on identifying a list of lawyers who would essentially be Trump loyalists and actually help reform the government in a Trump second administration. That's a good thing. This was Trump's biggest issue in the first term. A lot of things he wanted to do really couldn't because the people around him, they weren't good. They were not good whatsoever. And, well, Stephen Miller has been getting some people together, telling Trump these are the people that, well, Trump should put in his Justice Department, put in his legal team around him. That's good stuff. But also Stephen Miller and others have been doing some other things, not just building their own infrastructure. They've been focused on getting rid of things like the Heritage Foundation. Instead of, destroying, I should say, they decided to take it over from within. Now it's turning into a more America First populist organization. And you keep reading this, and this is good stuff that Trump really, I think, finally has people around him that know what they're doing. And there's been multiple startups, obviously, for America First, etc. And this is a good start. This is absolutely a good start because it appears Trump finally has people around him that are competent, that won't backstab him, and it's good stuff, but that's not everything Trump has to do. That's just the minimum. This is the bare minimum. Obviously, government reform is a bare minimum. I do think Trump is going to push for serious immigration reform in 2024, especially with having most likely a big Senate majority. There's a good chance that Trump could seriously do a good, decent amount of work on immigration. I think, immigration moratorium, I think that's relatively speaking off the table. But I do think something like the RAISE Act could seriously pass. Look, when it was proposed in 2017, the Republican Party still wasn't too friendly to Trump, yet it still got a decent amount of support. By 2024, based on what we're seeing, it's going to be a more pro-Trump Congress. And I do think a RAISE Act type of bill could seriously pass. I mean, look, is it everything we need to do with immigration? No, but it's a phenomenal start. It cuts legal immigration, I think, in half. I think it is. It's $500,000 a year. And it makes the immigration system more focused on those that actually want to be here, those that want to assimilate. I think 500,000 is a bit high. I think it should be around 200,000, but it's still a good start, for the RAISE Act. I also do think Trump needs to, once and for all, get us out of foreign wars, unnecessary wars, promote peace across the world. Like, hey, we're going to be the brokers of peace. We're not going to get involved, but we're going to be pushing for peace. We're going to be recommending it. We're not going to, send troops on the ground. That's a good development that Trump needs to do, and that's Trump's strength. Obviously, I think it's foreign affairs and tax policy. Those are the two things Trump by far has the most strength in. And that's where I think DeSantis as a VP could come into effect, because while tax and, foreign affairs is good and all, Trump really kind of failed at other things. Not really immigration, but stuff, other domestic issues. He kind of fell flat on it. He really couldn't, execute it. He was not really effective with it. But somebody like DeSantis would be perfect for other domestic issues. He could do a great job at actually executing domestic issues, getting things past Congress. That was Trump's big issue. With the VP, you want somebody that, can get Congress to actually do their thing, all right? I know that they say the president really doesn't. When you look at history, the VP has traditionally, been the one that really got things done, deals passed in Congress. Pence really didn't do anything. He kind of just stood there as like, yeah, I'm pro-Trump. And outside of a couple key, tie-breaking votes, he really didn't do anything. But DeSantis, I could seriously see being able to convince some of these other people, look, we can, work out the details later, but just focus on getting this bill passed. He is great at that, in my opinion. DeSantis is more effective when it comes to domestic issues. Foreign affairs, I don't know. We got to see that. But I do think DeSantis as a VP, focusing on the domestic part of the administration, could do a great deal good for this country. And outside of that, maybe our tax cut, keep simplifying it. Trump did a good job, in my opinion. I mean, some people give him crap for it. I mean, there was a better tax cut that Trump tried to pass, but, Paul Ryan is useless because, it cut corporate subsidies. We couldn't pass it. So with a more friendly Congress, I think Trump could also get through maybe one big tax cut, one more final big tax cut. And I do think he'll, most presidents say this, but I do think he'll actually cut the deficit a little bit, especially with a Congress that finally is being, more friendly to him. I think he'll cut the deficit by a little bit. I know that's not a big issue, but I have a feeling that we're finally going to see the deficit finally go down after years of doing that. And that's kind of it. It's going to be an interesting second term. I think the big focus is definitely going to be government reform and immigration, but also stuff like foreign affairs, tax policy, etc. And a lot of that stuff would be good for this country, and I hope Trump picks DeSantis as VP. It would be a perfect combo. Anyways, folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, of course, go follow that mysterious Twitter account in the description down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Godspeed to all of you.